Here at SkillCapped, we spend an unbelievable amount of time analyzing gameplay from bronze all the way to diamond with one objective in mind: identify the biggest mistakes players are making which stop them from climbing. One of the hilarious yet wildly common errors most junglers make is to essentially make their role 10 times harder to play by making really dumb decisions that they think are smart. Simply put, most junglers will happily drop $20 on the ground to run into a burning building for $15 and then wonder why they're hard stuck. You watching, yes you're probably one of these junglers and don't even know it yet. By the end of this guide, you will, so let's get started to show you what we mean and how to fix it. For our first replay, we'll watch how Lilia completely dismantles a Warwick player. To start off her route, Lilia will begin bot side and plans to full clear towards the volatile melee top matchup. Her Mordekaiser has Ignite this game, so he's sure to play aggressively, which he may want to either play off of or defend depending on what happens. As Lilia is getting towards the tail end of her route, she's spotted by every jungler's favorite ability, Ashe's Hawkshot. How fun. Warwick now has perfect information about her pathing, which he's going to use to move in for a level 3 gank on the overextending Mord. Now what if I told you it's at this moment that Warwick has lost the game and he should have known by going for this gank, which by the way works and kills Mordekaiser, will leave Lilia open to completely take control of the game if she's smart. I want you to take a moment to think, why is this gank such a poor choice for the Warwick? The main problem is that this is a difficult gank for Warwick to execute. As we mentioned, Mordekaiser has Ignite, a decent slow push, and a health lead. Even if this gank was successful, it will be sloppy. Most bad junglers will just see what's in front of them. Is there a gank opportunity? If yes, they will take it. Did it score a kill? If yes, they think it was a good move. Now let's think about the jungle role as what it really is, a strategic role. You must strategize your moves across the map and think ahead at all times to do this successfully. Warwick only sees this gank in front of him and not what it unlocks Lilia to be able to do afterwards. Let's quickly watch the destruction that unfolds. Lilia scores a return kill onto Aatrox and then runs through the river to secure a scuttle. Transition ganks mid on her way to the next scuttle, scoring another kill. Then punishes the enemy Ashe for overextending and then goes back to claim the second scuttle crab. And that's all wrapped up afterwards by taking Warwick's respawning camps as he looks for another kill top. Although Warwick may have scored 2 kills, it's safe to say he's massively behind Lilia in farm, map pressure, and experience. While we're consciously thinking of jungle as a strategy role, let's compare Warwick's choice with the ultimate game of strategy to understand how short-sighted his decision-making is: chess. Let's consider the most famous of all the chess openings, the Queens Gambit. If you don't know, the Gambit is really simple. White's opening moves will give the illusion that the black piece's player can take a free pawn. To a newer player, that may seem like the steal of a lifetime and a huge blunder by their opponent. But if the white player understands the correct sequences after the fact, then they'll absolutely crush an ignorant player in just a few moves. Simply put, imagine trying to be successful at chess, but you only think about the next piece you can take, and not what it unlocks your opponent to do after. This line of reasoning is why Warwick's play is bad. The initial kill may seem good, but afterwards he concedes everything to Lilia while also denying himself anything after the kill. With a bit of foresight, here's what Warwick should have known could happen. He'll be low after the kill top, even if he gets the kill, and he already knows Lilia is topside. What this means is that he's now completely zoned from the rest of the map and likely forced to recall. At such a critical time of the game with scuttle crabs, gank opportunities, and some of his own camps still up, that's not ideal. Tempo is so important in the early stages as a jungler. Giving complete control of the map over to your opponent is horrible. Especially since recalling early means you likely don't even have boots yet. It'll take forever to get to pressure again. Now, some of you may be thinking that the way Lilia punished was extreme, and it definitely was, but our experts do this every single game they play in Diamond and below, just as you see here, because they're thinking ahead. This may leave you wondering, how could I possibly know what the right move is to appropriately punish the enemy jungler's movement across the maps? Well, this is obviously a hard skill to master, which of course SkillCapped makes easier to do over time. But just the act of thinking about what the possible next moves are for you and your opponent throughout the early game is a huge leap over your opponent who's almost certainly never thinking far ahead even in Platinum Elo. Let's take a look at an example of yet another game where the enemy jungler is being short-sighted and not seeing the big picture of the game. This time it will be a Graves versus a Master Yi jungle. Graves is performing the same opening route as the Lilia from before, just a simple full clear 2 path towards the volatile top melee matchup. As Graves is finishing the route, he encounters one of the worst feelings as a jungler. He has actually been cheesed out of both the Gromp and blue buff by the enemy Master Yi. Just like before, put yourself in the shoes of Graves. What do you think your best option is after finding out you've been cheesed? Well, there's really only one option. The Gwen seems to have been pushed away or is warding. Scuttle Crab is also spawning, so that's obviously the first thing Graves will do. Let's watch the events unfold again before breaking things down. Graves gets not just one, but both crabs. Not only that, but due to Yi's poor planning, which we'll cover soon, he gets invaded at Gromp, losing the Smite fight, and then invaded at Blue Buff as well, completely losing the early game. Alright, so why did things go so poorly for Master Yi despite successfully getting an early cheese off? Again, let's compare it to that previous chess example, the Queen's Gambit. The whole point of the white pieces player willfully sacrificing a pawn is because they know the following moves to correctly punish should the pawn be taken. But if they don't know the following moves, then you're just giving up a pawn for free, right? Well, cheesing is the exact same thing in League of Legends. There's no point to it if you don't know what to do next. To put it simply, the point of cheesing an invade is to remove options from your opponent while maintaining most of yours. After losing his blue side camps, Graves had no choice but to look for both Scuttle Crabs and maybe Yi's blue side jungle. Master Yi, as a champion, probably can't contest an Ignite Graves at Scuttle Crab, but he should know that after taking the crab that Graves would have no choice but to path towards his blue side jungle. Thus, after cheesing, Master Yi should have immediately pathed towards his own blue side. That way, Graves would have absolutely nothing to do after taking the crab and would have to hope for an RNG gank or just base sad that he got 3-buffed. After the first scuttle, we can tell Yi was doing Krugs because he was coming from topside of the river. That is quite literally the exact opposite of where he needed to be to appropriately follow up his cheese, so we can assume he had absolutely no idea what he was doing. That's the main problem we're trying to highlight in this guide. Many junglers do certain strategies without really thinking about why they're doing them. Taking the enemy's Gromp and blue might feel good, and it might feel like you've gotten a big lead, but a competent jungler will just punish you regardless every single time unless you actually follow up properly. Let's check out one final example. For this one, we've got Gwen versus Xin Zhao as the jungle matchup. This one is really exciting with some new pathing tech. Gwen is full clearing to the volatile melee matchup top. Yep, crazy stuff. Again, let's watch the results first. Gwen's early pathing pays off appropriately. The two melee champions are fighting without the slightest regard for junglers, thus Gwen is able to just walk in and kill Set. Xin was trying to counter gank at the time, which allows Gwen and both her solo laners to converge on him in the river. Afterwards, they can also take down the Set, who came down to help, killing him yet again. 3 kills in the span of 30 seconds is basically game winning, and once again, the game is over before it even began. So what's going on this time? What was so wrong about what Xin Zhao did? Well, let's take a look at what happened while Gwen was clearing her jungle. As she's pathing to Raptors, her mid laner is already dead at 2 minutes. Kayle does teleport back to lane, but let's notice what Pantheon does a bit later. He's off to gank bottom, trying his hardest to make this a mid-diff kind of game. Based on what you saw, what conclusion can you make if you were the Xin Zhao? He's not going to have lane priority from his mid for the topside scuttle. That's the correct answer. His Pantheon is owning the game, but he won't have priority for about a minute. The big mistake from Xin is his short-sightedness when it came to this counter gank. Again, the problem is not thinking things through. As a jungler, this is especially bad. You don't have to manage all of the small intricacies of the laning phase, which should be giving you more time to plan both what you're thinking about doing and what your opponents are likely to do as well. With the information that Xin had, he should have easily known what would happen. Basically, if he gets there before Gwen, then he can defend Set and even go for the 2v2. His Set was winning lane, and so defending him is a good call. The big mistake Xin made wasn't not getting there in time, but rather that he didn't know what to do if he didn't get there first. At this point, he should be completely certain that there is no world in which he gets here in time to help his Set. He knows his mid lane won't have priority, so forcing a Scuttle Crab fight would be folly. He should have used the timing while Gwen was ganking to secure the top Scuttle, and then rotate to the bottom Crab so that he could claim both guaranteed. Sure, the enemy Gwen would still have been ahead, but it would at least have evened things out a bit. Instead, due to not planning anything, he walks up, gives his position away, which then leads to the disaster that occurred in the river. Alright guys, hopefully that should make it very clear why some junglers struggle so much during the early game. These lower elo junglers aren't playing horrendously bad, but due to their lack of foresight, they're being punished incredibly easily. If you begin thinking of all the possibilities that can occur ahead of time, then you'll be the one instantly winning games 4 minutes into the match.
Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's kind of like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO hell 629 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $4.99 a month if you're serious about improving.
Alright, that's going to do it for this one. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.